Hello and welcome to the 2023 draft presentation. I'm your host, Phil Lacio, and here on the BFPN news segment, we will be announcing all 12 draft picks starting from 12 and counting down to one. A lot of interesting stuff to talk about this year, a couple rules changes. Will we see return from prominent players like, AB Taco Corp once was, or the California Brewing Company once was? We'll just have to wait and see. One thing everybody's thinking, so I'm just going to say it. If Team James pick first again, that will just be fucking hilarious. That will be 3 years in a row. But we'll see if that's going to happen. I'm going to bring in a few of my esteemed colleagues in here to analyze the picks and announce them with me. First on the show, we have Dick Aiken. How you doing, buddy?
Happy to be here. That's senior correspondent Dick Aiken here. How you doing tonight, Phil? Good to see you. Looking good this year. A little thick, but you're looking good.
Yeah, yeah. We're putting on the weight for the winter. We start early, so that's where we're going with it. Senior asshole, Dick Aiken. And next we have esteemed colleague Mike Oxlong. How you doing, buddy?
Hey there, guys. Happy to be here. Happy to be back for another fantasy season on the Premier Network, BSBN.
Awesome. It's great to have you here. Always look forward to some insight from you. A couple punches, couple jokes, we just have a good time. And last but not least, we have Barry McCockiner, who's probably somewhere smoking a black and mild right now.
Barry.
Barry, you're muted. We're gonna have to get you to unmute your mic. Barry, it's the little button down on the left. Surprised they gave you control over that one.
He needs new production team.
All right. Well, unless we hear from him soon, I think we should move on. Fellas, what do you think about a couple of things going on in this league this year? I mean, last year, obviously, we got to point out the winner. Coach Sam, coached his way to the top. At second place, we had Keller, always coming in strong, never missed the playoffs, as we all know. And in third place, we have manager Robert, who actually finished, I believe, last year before. So quite a return to prominence there. What do you guys think about that?
I mean, I think we'll see another interesting season here. We got Keller Kilpatrick looking to finish in second place again. If you set that goal and you accomplish it every year, I think you're really knocking down the walls that you're trying to get over. Listen, I think we're going to see a return of some of these sleeping teams that have fell off the last couple of seasons, and I think we got a surprise newcomer to the bunch. Well, I don't want to take up all the air in the room here, but I'll get to all that later.
All right. Well, how about we just get into it here? We are going to announce the draft order live, so y'all can join us then. We're going to start with number 12, just ramp up the anticipation. So for number 12, we have a team that did really well last year, was always a favorite of mine to, put his best foot forward in some games. And that is going to be manager Spina.
Wow, pick 12 for Spina. I mean, you get the wraparound, but you got to wait a while to make your picks. That's a tough one.
Yeah, no, you mentioned the reach around and that's it's borderline two first round picks when you look at it. So it's always an intriguing spot to me. Mike, what are you thinking of it?
Look, Spina is one of the craftiest managers in the league. Look, I mean, we're talking about a former champion, a manager that knows how to win. One of the best winning percentages in the league. Um, I'm expecting that if there's any manager that knows what to do with that 12 pick and then the top of the second pick at the turn there, it's going to be this manager, Spina. So very excited to see what he does in such a spot that is generally seen as a disadvantage.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that. Barry, do you have anything to say? I see you wiggling over there. I don't know if you got your technicals working yet.
Yeah, excuse me, Phil. I've had to fire another intern since just being on here with you. But like you were saying, that is a long reach around. Picking at the 12 it's no joke. The man, he's got to be able to get 20-point players out of his first four picks, and I just don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, I'm often surprised when you get to those later picks in the first round. how many valuable players are still there. And he's a good, football IQ, acumen, all of that. He's got it squared away. So I expect him to make a couple value picks and maybe, leave something from somebody else. All right. Well, moving on to pick number 11. We're going to, let's see, that will be manager Tyler. All right. So killer record last year, 10-3, took the league by storm. I can't quite recall what his streak was, but it was quite hot for quite some time. It was a scary team, one that you don't really want to go up against. Barry, you got anything to say? You want to start with this one?
Yeah, I'm just here to say this man's strategy, though it's homerific, it's a good one. If there's one team that you're going to homer down for, that's the team to do it. Man's going to ride. And with the new rule changes, Pat Mahomes is just going to be all that much better of a first-round pick for him.
Yeah, no, I mean, you don't got to line his picks up already for him. I'm sure he'll get there himself. But Mike, you got anything to say?
Yeah, I mean, look, this manager, it's a classic case organizationally where you see an owner take over a franchise and it is just a dumpster for a season or two. And that's really what we saw when this team came into the league. I mean, their second season, they finished 12th in the league. But if you look at the trend since then, they've been going up. As my colleague Barry mentioned, they've got a proven draft strategy. And with some of the recent rule changes, I think it's going to benefit teams like Grim Reaper, this quarterback friendly league that BRC has seemed to transform to. I can't say that this manager is going to win it all before the draft, but I wouldn't be surprised if they're knocking on the door for a championship this season.
I'd have to agree with that. I mean, he's shown he can be consistent. He's shown he knows, what to do in the right situations to draft players. We always kind of joke with him about the Chiefs type players that he likes to nab up. But at the end of the day, he's made moves and he's proved that he has what it takes. Dick, you got anything before we move on to the next one?
Listen, I mean, he did what Andy Reid did. He came in there, he turned around the organization. He did what he normally does. He stick by his standards. He drafted the guys he wanted to draft. He got who he wanted, made the playoffs. Listen, you lose after that first round, though. You gotta prove something in the playoffs. You can't just be the regular season superhero.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. All right, moving on to the next one. At number 10, we have you're off the hook, Jimmy. You're not picking number one this year. You'll be at number 10. So, some interesting things to look forward to. Obviously, kind of later in, and then you got to wait a couple picks in the second round. So, I think honestly, I'd rather have the 12th spot, the 11th spot, maybe than that 10th spot personally. But obviously, everybody has their own method of getting, what needs to be done. And I think he'll be able to do that. Rough record last year, looking at 3-10. So obviously he has some work to do before he's able to prove that he's going to be a consistent force in this league. Now, first year he likes to claim an excuse. His phone, wouldn't let him draft picks, whatever. This last year has made me doubt a lot of that and think it might just be bullshit. So anybody got anything to say before we move on about this manager and the comeback he's going to have to make? Mike, we'll go to you.
Yeah, I mean, look, this team has just been on a downward spiral since they entered the league, clearly not helping themselves. I mean, look, you could sell me a frozen corn dog before you could sell me on this team. I just have no hope for this manager. What I will say is we've never had a team finish last place in back-to-back seasons. Could this be the first? I don't think so. History's told us otherwise, but hey, stranger things have happened in this league.
That's true. Stranger things, and he's in the upside down. I just like you said, they've been on the spiral. They really need to climb. We've got questions that need to be answered, and we just want to make sure they stay consistent. So, all right, moving on. If we got nothing else, we're going to go to the number 9 pick, and that is manager Barrett with AB Taco Corp. As I mentioned in my intro, this is a team that was once good. Maybe it was long ago. Maybe it was before the merger. Maybe it's been a couple years, a good long couple, many years. But the manager knows football, and I feel like it's hard to believe that at some point they can't come back and gain some traction. Dick, let's go to you. What do you think?
This is that old school story, that old school manager. He wants to run the ball, pound the ball right down the middle, 25 times a game, 30 times a game. He doesn't give a fuck if he has a quarterback or not. This guy isn't new school. Is that going to work out this year? Who knows? Could work out next year. Might have worked out in the past one time. He's got to advance. If he doesn't bring on some analytics teams, bring on some scouts, learn the new systems, he's going to be like Mike McCarthy. He's going to fall behind. He's going to look like a slob on the sidelines.
Yeah, and I agree with you. He's not new school. This guy's definitely not new school. He still calls refrigerators ice boxes. Barry, let's go to you.
Yeah, guys, I couldn't agree more. I actually have a direct quote from the guy when I asked him about his not giving a fuck about the quarterback analytics, as he put it. He goes, "Analytics? Do you mean assalytics?" And then kind of chuckled. So that's about where that is. I think his finish is going to be about the same as it has been, unless he can just really get through and figure out his quarterback position out.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. I like that quote as well. That's pretty fucking good. All right, moving on. Mike, you had something on that last pick. I apologize.
Yeah, thank you for passing it over to me. Look, this is one of those managers that I think at the end of the day does know a little bit about fantasy football, even though their win percentage under 500 would say otherwise. But this is the league's Jim Irsay. We talk more often about the shock decisions that they make than the product they're producing on the field. And I think this is the best way you can summarize the AB Taco Corp.
No, I think that's definitely a great summarization, and it's clear this manager has some work to do. All right, next one we have pick number 8, and that is going to be manager Robert with Duval Diamond. As I mentioned before, this team went from last place in the 2021 season to third place in the 2022 season. Mentioned sort of a draft strategy change, and the results seem to come in pieces. Now, obviously, wasn't able to secure the whole thing, wasn't able to make it to the championship game. But I'm kind of liking the movement we're seeing from this team. Are they able to keep it up? That's my only question. Obviously, 1 year does not a great career make. And it's clear from some of the stats that we have, the team has a history of not winning that many games in a season. Although last year, one of the highest scoring seasons in history. Anybody got any comments on Duval Diamonds? Dick, let's go to you.
Like you said, number 2 in scoring record all time last season. This guy, he had a bounce back year. He understands football. He brought in a whole new team. You should have seen the war room for the draft. 15, 25 guys in there, scouts throwing shit out, looked like Wolf of Wall Street style. I think there was 3 or 4 hookers in the room. This guy had it down to a science. The only thing I'm iffy on, can't really finish in the playoffs. Got a 1-2 record overall. Kind of can't really. Once he gets to the top of the hill, he's better at falling down it than standing on the top. That's all I got on him.
I totally agree. Obviously, like I said, this team has some stuff to prove in the moments that really matter. Mike, what you got for me?
Yeah, this team is a big question mark. One of the worst win percentages in the league, 43%. I'm going to say that again, 43%. Last season was an anomaly, and it's really going to be a challenge for this manager to decide what path they're going to take forward. But I will say one thing is I do think there's something to what my colleague Dick was saying. There's some magic in the draft room. I mean, let me just go over their first 3 picks. You don't win at the draft, but this foundation right here, Austin Eckler, CeeDee Lamb, Nick Chubb. I mean, that's about as solid as a foundation as you can ask for. And somebody with those brains, if they can bring that into the draft room this year at that number 8 pick, I think they can find their way right back in the same spot.
Yeah, I agree. It's all about finding a diamond in the rough at that point. Obviously, there's some talented players on the board. Comes back to you in the middle of round two. Just some decisions to be made there, and we'll see if this team can make a push again to really solidify themselves amongst the major names in this league. Speaking of major names in this league, we've had quite commitment and coherence across the league for the last couple of years. A lot of people returning. I think that's just important to note that there's something really good happening here. Something starting. There's a fire that's catching, and I'm just proud to see it. Moving on with the seventh pick, we have CJ, Team SpongeBob. This is a team that's been, stinky for quite some time. Come back last year, 5-8 record, which is, obviously you don't want to brag too much about that, but I think it was good to see that a little bit of competition from that team, at least not down in the bottom, last place. So, hot take for you guys. I'm thinking CJ might be able to make a push for the playoffs this year for the first time. It's never happened. He's never been there. But I'd like to, instill a vote of confidence on my part in Team SpongeBob and say that they can accomplish some major things if they put their mind towards it. Anybody got any comments about that?
This is my
let's go to you.
favorite team this year.
Hey, Dick,
this is the team making the push. They're going to get into the playoffs. They're not going to win a game in the playoffs, but they're going to make it there. They're going to break through that seal. He showed some competence at the end of last season, made some good moves on the market. Listen, he overpicked in a little couple picks last year. Devontae Adams didn't play out the way you wanted. It is what it is. You got Joe Mixon, played out very well. Took a chance on Dameon Pierce, saw how that worked out. This guy knows how to do it. He's been in fantasy for a long time. He gets football. He's making a push this year. He brought in some new coaches, some new scouts. I think this is going to be it for him. Not first place, not second place, but he'll be there.
All right. Well, good to hear it. I'm glad you agree with me on that one. It's been a while since we found something. Barry, let's go to you.
Yeah, you mentioned the cat out of Houston, but don't forget, he also had his eyes on Walker out of Seattle. This man picked the two rookie running backs who came up and stepped up, who are going to be taken, way too high in the first round this year in the draft by somebody. It's CJ, he's got this thing about him where it's like you want to root for the guy because you see the moves there, but ultimately, if history has proven anything to me, guys finishing fucking 5-10 again.
Well, I guess we'll see how that goes. And speaking of some of the guys he did target, mentioning Walker, I heard reports last year, further through the year towards the end, major trade requests and things going to Team SpongeBob, which were denied because the confidence was still there in his team, which I think is a major statement about the year that he could potentially have this year coming up. Mike, let's holler at me.
Look, I know this is the league's lovable loser. This team has never finished any better than 8th, and I know it seemed that there was some momentum for them to make a push last year, but I'm not buying the hype. Yes, this is the team's lovable loser, but manager CJ, I have a question for you. Do you love the game? Do you love the game? Because your record would tell me that you don't. All right? You draft players as if you're already in the playoffs. Buddy, you've never been there. You've never been there. You haven't even sniffed it. Not once. Do you love the game? Fucking draft like it this year. That's all I have to say.
All right, Skip.
Some real passion there from my colleague Mike Ocklong. But I'd agree. I even though I've given my vote of confidence, obviously this team needs to show something. The manager behind this team, CJ, knows football. He likes football. He knows football. He's knowledgeable, and he knows fantasy. So what the hell is the problem? Get it together. Strap up. Let's go. We're on a roll. All right. That is the 7th pick. We're going to take a brief halftime here. We're going to come back with the top 6 picks in the draft. I hope y'all join us back soon at the Bortles Retirement Community. All right, welcome back to BSPN for the draft presentation. I'm your host, Phil Acio, and here we got a couple of my dudes, Dick Aikman, we got Mike Oxlong, and we got Barry McCockiner over there. I think he's a few beers deep already.
What?
So we're going to come back for the resuming amount of draft picks. We're going to start with number 6, go down to number 1, and see who has that coveted or cursed, depending on who you ask, number 1 spot to start the year for 2023. All right, top of the list right now at number 6. I just want to ask you guys, before I announce this pick, who do you think is the biggest shit talker in the league? Would any of you say manager Chris with the number 6 pick? I don't know, man. Okay, listen.
Chef is a softie. He just wants hugs from people.
Well,
he just wants hugs.
He always, the only time he texts in the league correspondence chat is to say, suck it, nerd, or fuck you, pussies. And that's the only correspondence we get all year. And so, a couple memes here and there, jabs every time he has the chance. On our interview last year, he was taking shots wherever he could. So, anybody got anything to say here about Chef at the number 6 pick, went 7-6 last year, middle of the pack?
Well, number 6 pick. I mean, that's coveted as one of the best picks. You're right in the middle. You kind of choose consistently. Listen, I think this guy's due for a bounce back year. He went 10 wins his first year. That was before the record was extended. We were at our most minimum of a season. This guy won 10 games in 2020. He knows how to do it. He's in a bunch of leagues. He's a league whore. He knows how to play fantasy. He knows how to draft. He knows how to do it all. He can play. He can compete. He's going to be here at a high level. I think it's a bounce back year. Bounce back for Chef. Playoffs bound.
Yeah, he's definitely demonstrated his knowledge of the game in the past. I expect that to continue. Mike, what do you got for me?
Look, I think this is a smart manager when it comes to drafting. You look at their draft last year, fantastic team they put together, but they missed out on two crucial elements which in their other leagues may get the job done. In this league, not quite. Quarterbacks, tight ends are two coveted positions in this league, and they chose to postpone their drafting of 2 options. They took a gamble on Kyle Pitts. It didn't pan out, and they picked a middle of the road fantasy quarterback in Aaron Rodgers. Now, I think if they can alternate their frame of mind as far as what their prioritization is in the draft, I think we could see a bounce back season. But to be honest with you, I was shocked when I looked at the record books and saw that this manager is over 500, 26 and 24 all time, but has only had one playoff appearance. One playoff appearance. And really only one finish in the top 8. Like, come on.
Yeah, it's definitely disappointing to see the numbers as far as they reflect on the success of the team itself. Being positive over 500, you would expect a little more success, a few more playoff appearances. But it's kind of like the AFC in the real NFL, power heavy. So you have a lot of good teams who are, maybe missing out on playoff appearances just because of some extenuating circumstances and the power of the league itself. Let's see. What Barry, you got anything for me before we move on Team Chris?
Fuck no, y'all are being too nice. He had one good season. Y'all doing too much right now.
All right. Moving on, we have the number 5 pick, and that
excuse me, Barry. Are you smoking a cigarette?
Yes. Doesn't it look like a cigarette?
All right. Did it go out and you're okay?
Is that in the studio, Barry?
Sorry to interrupt you. Keep going. I guess this is your show.
Yeah. Well, all right. Number 5 pick. Then we have last year's champion Samuel taking that number 5 pick. I think that's a pretty good spot to be in. Obviously, you have your pretty much prime choice amongst players you want at the top 5. And then obviously you're waiting a little longer in the second, but you got early in the third. Obviously, I'm just describing a snake draft right now. But you know how it goes, and I expect this manager to capitalize on what's going on. Mike, you got anything to say about this team?
Yeah, I mean, last season was absolutely impressive. Obviously, they won it all. This was a team I predicted was going to be in the championship at the beginning of the season. It looked like it panned out, and I'll give it another prediction for this team. I think they make it right back there. Do they take it all again this year? I don't know, but I do think this manager has found the recipe for success. I mean, if you look at their past seasons, maybe not so favorable at the end of the day. But this is one of those teams that puts up points. They put up points and they put up wins. And I think the ball is finally starting to bounce their way. And that's the part of fantasy we never really seem to talk about is the luck factor. And I think luck is starting to swing the other way for this manager. We may be looking at the first back-to-back champion.
Oh wow, what a bold prediction. Obviously a lot of respect for this team. They've had success for quite some time. Done a lot of stuff, to show the football IQ that they have as far as picking up acquisitions, making changes to their active game day roster, making sure that they touch all the bases they need to be a successful team, a successful powerhouse in this league. Dick, you got anything to say about this one?
Listen, I mean, this guy just knows how to do it. He drafted probably the best 1-2 overall last year. He went Justin Jefferson, Travis Kelce. I mean, those two guys finished number one at their positions. I mean, JJ is arguably number one pick this year, and he got him at 6 last year. I don't know, 5-0 at home. This guy, he defends his own house. He knows how to do it. He only had more home wins last year. Is looking at Chef last year with 6. I mean, there's no way to do it. This guy's probably not. Repeating is a lot. I'll say that, Mike. To put that on somebody can be a little bit much. I like the prediction. I don't know that he goes that far, but I do think he competes this year, and he definitely is going to be in the playoffs for fighting for that spot.
I would definitely agree with that. I think I saw Barry eating an onion like it was an apple, and I'm quite disturbed by that. And you see he's kind of cut away there. I hope everything's okay with the
Wait, are
tum-tum.
you? Did you say my name? Did you say my name?
This
Just get his
this is
opinion.
this is fucking disgusting. I just so y'all know, we don't condone this on BSPN. Never in my 15 years working here have I been so sick into my stomach. And I'm sure the PR team will put out a short video presentation after the airing of this episode. So stick around for that. All right, gentlemen. Moving on now. The number 4 pick. Now, this is a team that has had consistent success, but has not made it to the top of the mountain yet. So, are we going to see it? Let me announce the pick first. Manager Keller. And before I go on my a little spiel here. So this is a team, obviously, in the beginning of last season, I picked to go all the way. He came one short. He lost in the championship last year, coming in second place for the league. But is he going to be able to continue that success that he's had in years past? And something's telling me that he probably won't. And maybe that's a hot take for many. I don't know. I'm thinking, with the stuff I'm hearing, the rumors about his work schedule and the personal convictions that I have picking him based on his live football knowledge. I'm talking the new players, Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson, guys coming in, Tank Dell, Deuce Vaughn. Like, is he keeping up with this type of stuff? Or is he just going to keep going after those old players that he's known to be successful for the last couple of years based off hearing their name? Let's go to Dick first, and then we'll jump over to Mike.
I apologize there. I was looking at a pair of boobies on the internet. Sorry about that. No, so we're talking about Tallahassee Taint Touchers here. This guy, he's in second place. I'm surprised we're not on the second pick. He's got number 2 written all over him. He might as well be a number 2. Listen, this guy is known to shoot himself in the foot. He doesn't have the greatest draft every time. Took Alvin Kamara number 1 overall last year. Guy really didn't have a great season. 140-point game, otherwise averaged 12 points a game per. That's not a number 1 overall pick. He lucks out. He understands how to do those late rounds, but he does have that ball roll his way, like Mike was talking about earlier. I do think this guy's going to be competitive this year. Listen, never missed the playoffs. Never missed the playoffs. No one in this league can say that beside him. Are we going to dethrone him now? He's making it to the playoffs. He'll probably finish second place again. That's my prediction.
Might yell at the world.
Look, this team is an enigma. I mean, there is some bedlam in the league about this team. I mean, they just can't get it done. And back-to-back championships to lose. I mean, that is tough. But this manager has a tried and true draft strategy. Now, the problem is the league's going to catch up. The league always catches up when they see consistency. And where does this manager find consistency? The quarterback position. Year after year, they've drafted a quarterback early. They've hit on their quarterbacks. But with the recent rule changes, you're going to see a run on quarterbacks. You're going to see a run on quarterbacks early. And I think you're going to see a lot more teams putting up a fight against manager Keller. And I expect him to make the playoffs because clearly it's not one position. It's a whole team. He drafts well. But I am expecting some regression. I don't know that he makes the championship this year, but I expect him to see in the playoff hunt. Absolutely.
Well, I think that's interesting, your take about the quarterback. And obviously, we mentioned some of the rule changes that would be in effect this year. For those of you who are not aware of what we're talking about, the passing touchdown this year has been moved from the 4-point where it was last year to the 6-point. So now it is equal with a running touchdown. So to me, in my mind, I'm thinking that you could probably be a little bit more lenient with getting your quarterback because you know that those passing guys are more abundant than those heavy rush guys. But that's just me. Obviously, different strokes for different folks, just like Barry. And so we're going to go and see what he has to say about that.
Yeah, this whole quarterback thing, you're saying to sell on quarterbacks. I'm saying buy as much stock as possible with the rule change. All right. Quarterbacks going earlier. That's what's going to happen, especially these cats who get into the 30s. Trevor Lawrence might be like a second round pick or some shit because he's going to be putting the ball in the end zone, and that's going to make the quarterback the most valuable player for every team this year. If you don't have quarterback play moving forward in this league, you can't compete.
Yeah, I don't know. I just see it from a different angle. Obviously, you're trying to start a riot with some comments. Obviously, I know Trevor Lawrence is going to be great this year. To go in the second round, though, I mean, we'll see how the strategy works out if you decide.
What, you don't think Trevor Lawrence is going to be a top 5 quarterback?
Well, sit down. This is all. We just speculate on sports. As objectively speaking, I have nothing against that team. I'm actually in favor of Trevor Lawrence. I think he's a great young player. Barry, if it's okay with you, we'll just move on. If you're finished with your...
salute to Keller. The dude's going to get it done this year. Mark it.
All right. Well, I'm glad you think so, and we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Wish him the best. He knows I have a lot of respect for him. Just not sure, with some of the stuff, some updates coming, and just want to see how that works out. All right. Going to pick number 3, No One's Above the Law with Carson, lawyer Carson. And, fellas, what do you think of this pick? Obviously a great team, didn't have the best year last year, but that's okay. We know she's capable of so many things, and she got hit with the injury bug. Players like Breece Hall and a couple other players blank in my mind right now. But Dick, what do you got to say about this?
Listen, this team, it's an enigma to me here. You can tell clearly the most educated owner within this league. She knows what she's doing, came in rookie year, won the championship, blew us all away. Sophomore slump last year, you can chalk it down to that. The part I have trouble with is the draft strategy. Michael Pittman in the 3rd round seems like a stretch to me. Breece Hall in the 4th round felt like a meme pick almost, like it was just done to get some laughs at the draft party. I don't know that this manager is fully committed to the game. I'm wondering where they are, commitment to this league. I want to see that bounce back season. I want to see, that solid, consistent draft, those trade moves, that cutthroatness you would expect to see in a courtroom.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Obviously, those managers got a lot on her plate. But, again, she's capable of success. She's been there in the past. Come and take the league by storm, win it all in your first year. I mean, you've accomplished what you need to as far as a career earning, and everything on top of that is just icing on the cake. Mike, let's hear from you on this.
Yeah, I agree with many of the comments my colleague Dick made. Look, rookie year was a Cinderella story for this manager, and yeah, then we saw the sophomore slump. What do I make of this owner? I think they're in for a bounce back season. Do I think they make it all the way back to the championship? Probably not, remains to be seen. One of my biggest criticisms of this manager is I think the ego ran a little wild. This is a manager that really held on to their roster even when the ship was clearly sinking. They wouldn't make any trades. They wouldn't make any major transactions. Those are the kinds of things that, as a manager, as your players are getting injured, you got to make tough calls. And this manager just wasn't making the tough calls last year, and it showed. So I'm interested to see if she can turn it around this year. But again, it really just comes down to, does she want it or not?
I totally agree with that. I mean, a couple things about this manager: energy, charisma, and just commitment to success. She's always involved in the league correspondence chat, saying something, responding to something, or posting something funny. So she's there mentally. I think y'all are a little off base. With it, she's not totally there. I think she is, and I expect her to come back in a big way this season. Just based on what she's done in the past and the knowledge that I know she has and what she's capable of doing. Barry, you got anything before we move on? It looks like you're about to fall asleep over there anyway.
Look, I think it's safe to say that I'm the most journalistically sound and ethical journalist out of our bunch here. And I can only say one thing. Go Dogs, sick 'em. Carson's going back to the championship.
Oh, snap. Taking the show, quite possibly. That would be some feat if she were to accomplish that in her first year. And then with the sophomore slump, respectably, come back in the third year to reach that mountaintop again. We'll see if she can do that. But we are
Go
going to move on.
Dogs, sick 'em.
No. We're not having any of that shit. Barry, I will boot your ass out of the studio. Don't start that bullshit here, okay?
I'm in my own
Thank you.
studio.
No. And put that fucking onion away. All right. Pick number 2. We're going to go with team manager Noah up in Ohio. The winter's getting cold. The fantasy season is freezing away. What do you think about manager Noah? Last year have the 7-6 record, middle of the pack. Obviously, the team always does well. They're always right there in the conversation with things. But I have heard some reports that even the team manager has had some self-doubt about his possible performance this season, just based on his schedule and timing of different things and how they might align with the football season. Mike, let's go to you.
Yeah, I mean, this team is a head scratcher. Middle of the road's the best way to describe this team. This always seems to be the team to make a lot of noise very early in the season. Seems to really cash in all their chips just to get to the playoffs, and then doesn't seem to care to really do much else from that point. It's a team you said looks consistent. I think they just care about getting to the playoffs. I don't think they really want to win at the end of the day, if I'm being honest with you. I think they're there to make some headlines in the first few weeks, make a name for themselves, maybe spoil somebody's season. But at the end of the day, this is a team that is well over 500, one of the better win percentages in the league, 58%. It's just a matter of if they can put together the pieces in the playoffs. But they haven't shown us that they can do it yet. So history would tell you that they're not going to do it this season.
Yeah, and I mean, I could say the same thing about a few teams in this league who we have already covered. We know that they have what it takes. They've constantly been in conversations in the past, but can you really do it when it's crunch time? Buckle down and get it done in the playoffs and beat the best of the best. Because it's one thing when you go on a streak against Joe Schmo from down the street, or you beat people like AB Taco Corp, like really have no relevancy. when you can come back and beat the Sams and the this past year, if somebody like Tyler, that's when you're really going to be, and Keller as well, throw his name in there, being his past track record. That's when you're going to be a competitor. Dick, what do you think?
I mean, what is there left to say? The guy can't finish in the playoffs. 0-3 in the playoffs. He's had 3 chances. He had a first round bye, and he lost in the playoffs 2 years ago. He can't finish. 0-3 in the playoffs. Top of the league in transactions every season, 1 or 2. This guy's making too many moves. He's playing himself out of the game. Draft well. Let's start there. Draft well. All right, let's look at this. Cooper Kupp last year, number 1 overall, number 8 for him. Number 21 wide receiver finishing the season. That's his first overall pick. Year before that, Alvin Kamara, number 3 overall. Guy finishes number 10 running back.
Trash.
Number 10 running back. Next year, he's got number 2 this year. Last time he had number 2, let's look at this. Ezekiel Elliott. You know what he finished that year? 11th best running back in the league. You got to be a transaction king when you can't fucking draft.
No,
this guy doesn't know what
agree.
he's doing out here. He's got to hire a new GM, get rid of the whole office, bring in some new blood. Kirk Cousins is running this team.
Yeah,
you win in the season. I mean, what does it do? You get the championship for the regular season. We don't give out a trophy for that, bud.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, those players you mentioned are great players, by the way. Maybe other than the acquisition last year, mostly because of injury. But I will say, obviously, I think the point you're trying to make is that he's missed some of the value, which he should have captured with his spot in the draft. And I totally agree with that. Top 2 pick this year, you cannot afford to miss, because oftentimes when you miss it too, it's really painful. We've seen that with a couple people in the recent past, picks like Najee Harris, who then finished running back. I can't even count that high. Neither can Barry.
That was a good count. That was a good pick.
All right. Well, yeah. I mean, time is already told that it wasn't, so I don't want to hear from you. And put that shit out. No. My fucking goodness. Let's just get this shit over with. All right. With the number 1 pick in the Bortles retirement community something draft, we have manager Ethan. All right. So this is a manager. Yeah. It's like a congratulation and fuck you at the same damn time. So you got to figure out what you're going to do there, buddy. This is a team, as I mentioned at the very beginning of the draft presentation, that we've seen success from. This is a former champion that's fallen away from relevancy in the last couple of years. Obviously, last year going 5-8. We've heard injuries every year. When are we going to get Kobe after and get it done? I mean, you talk about CJ, where's your love for football? This is an athlete, a class athlete, and he knows sports. He knows football. He knows fantasy. He knows how to get it done. But what is he doing? Are you checking the app, Ethan? Come on, tighten up, my man. I know I believe in you, but can you get back to that spot? That's my question. Dick, let's hear from you.
I mean, we saw the upgrade last year. Went to California Brewing Company. This guy, he's running a business now. He's not focused in this. I understand you have to have money to get into the league. This is a big baller situation, but you got to focus on football during football season. We get it. Champion. He made a crazy run, wild card team all the way to the championship, won those 3 games. You know what his record is in the playoffs since then? 0-2. 0-2. Yep. He had a tough time. This guy can't finish out right now. He's got to refocus, bring it back to football, show us what he's really about. Was that one season a fluke?
Yeah, no, I think those are great questions. Obviously, you look at that 0-2 in the playoff record since his championship run, and you have a lot of questions about what this team can accomplish. But I do believe the team can go back there. They just got to really dial in right now. They are brewing IPA over at California Brewing Company. Mike, let's hear from you, and then we'll get to Barry if we can wake him up just to wrap up the presentation here on BSPN for the night.
I think his cigarette's still lit.
Definitely is. Luckily, like he mentioned, he chose to work from home today. That's why the lighting's so poor. So we'll just have to get somebody to check on that. Mike, what you got for me?
Yeah, let's talk about a couple past champions real quick, just to bring this conversation into perspective, okay? Team Spina, 2019 champion, one of the most consistent managers in the league, as I said earlier, one of the best win percentages. 2021, Shark Attack. Book's still out on this manager, but we think they can turn things around ultimately. Remains to be seen. Eric Kilpatrick, manager Samuel Brichta, won the championship last year. I think this is a manager where the luck has just finally bounces their way. But if you look at their stat sheet, they are consistent at the end of the day. The outlier of these champions is California Beers. I think this is the league's biggest fraud. I'll say it right here. I mean, if you look at a graph, this is one of the only teams where it just goes straight down. All right, they won that championship, and they haven't done a thing since. Their record is 25-25. They're 500. That's not bad at the end of the day. But I mean, if you look at every season outside the championship, what does it really amounted to? Not much. They're just like all these other teams in the middle of the road. Your Jeffrey Dahmers, your Noah Bennett football teams, even your Jimmies, that have one spectacular season. They're just that. They're one-hit wonders.
Look who we beat in the championship. He had to beat with AB Taco Corp in the championship. We could call that playoffs a fluke. I mean, it was the cripples beating each other up.
Drinking ass IPA at the Ass Bowl. All right, gentlemen, any last comments on this before we head out for the night? Barry, you got something? I see you down there. Let's get one more from Barry. Hey, pick up your damn Black and Mild. You about to burn the damn home studio down. Who the fuck's
got my keys? This bullshit ass PN Stadium. I need to go home. Fuck this.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us on BSPN for the 2023 draft coverage of the Bortles retirement community. I would like to thank Dick Aiken, Mike Oxlong, and Barry McCockiner for showing up half the time, and the other two gentlemen for showing up the full time. Y'all have a wonderful night, and join us back on our next program to see what the new news is with the league. Have a good one.